think clearly and you'll have a clear life. You're told, think only on things that are lovely and of good report. And I like that word limits you right there. Think only on things, because if you think on things that are not lovely and of good report, you see, that's why the warning says about the fear of God, because he said, as you think you are, you will experience it. You are experiencing. They themselves are makers of themselves. You don't need anybody else's help to do this once you understand that you can do it. And that's what we're here to tell you, is that you can do it. He didn't leave you off the list of can do it. You can. He wouldn't have told you to do it. Well, it's God telling you to do it. If he told you to do it, he knows you can do it. But he knows that you can impact yourself with limits and limits and limits on things, because that's what this world is. It's a world of limitation until you understand that you're in charge, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You went back to, being in the world, but not of the world. And when we're talking about being in the world and not of the world, the question to you creators, who's doing your thinking? And a lot of our thinking, we think that our thinking has been given to us from the time that we were born to the time of adulthood, and we've never questioned why it is that we believe what it is that we believe.
This is not about bashing relatives or family or anybody.
Absolutely.
It's just that if they didn't treat you right, they just didn't know either.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing is that they don't know. It can't act right if they don't know what's right. So that's what you got to sit down and settle. What is right? What do I actually call right? You're told that if you would order your conversations aright, that you would be shown salvation. Isn't that what everybody's looking for?
Yeah.
And then what everybody's going to church for? Salvation. All you have to do is order your conversations aright in accordance with your dreams. Yeah, look, well, you're told that when the people fail to dream, they start to die. I mean, really, that's something to consider. When the people fail to dream, they start to die. It's as simple as that. You're cutting off, you're shutting down. And that's what depression is a shutting down. And it'll shut down all your systems eventually if you let it go to that. But you can stop anything. It's all about our attitudes. I mean, that's what we're told. Man's attitudes, that's his whole life. And if that you're told that, you can sit and just say, well, what attitudes do I have? What's my attitude about this? What's my attitude about that? And you might be greatly surprised. I was greatly surprised. But the thing of it is, you can change anything. Look, by his stripes you're healed, and I know he's already got them. Yeah. So there you are. It's up to you to claim them, and that's what was left you. A remembrance, sir, to claim your inheritance, and your inheritance is God Himself. Isn't that it?
That is it. You spoke of by his stripes we are healed. And the healing, if we understand it aright, it's a mind shift. When the mind changes, when we change from, let's say, a thought of illness, and we move from a thought of illness to health, healing begins to take place. Often Jesus would lay hands on a person and he says, by your faith, you've been healed. Or be it according to your faith that you've been healed. He wasn't doing it. It was the individual. Now, many of us miss that when he says it's your faith that makes, not mine. Jesus couldn't do it in his faith. The individual had to have the faith to receive the healing.
That's why he asked him, do you believe I can do this thing?
Absolutely.
See, right away he knew if he was, you didn't throw out any more crumbs.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is that it is so simple. I didn't say easy, but it is so simple that it's missed, totally missed. That's the problem with it. It is that it actually was made simple. but we have become so complicated. We don't really understand simple anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you have to do is just sit in the silence.
Yeah.
If you sit there long enough and be patient with yourself, you'll have all the benefits that you need right there. He tells you, you turn to me, I'll turn to you. If God tells you that if you turn to me, I'll turn to you. So if he's already told you to turn to him, he knows you can turn to him. And if you don't, well, okay, go your way. That was the whole idea, is that you're to learn for yourself first person. And that's what we're looking for, those who want to know first person. If you're not that interested in yourself, and then someone says, well, yeah, well, interested in himself. Well, good for him, because how can you help somebody else if you can't even help yourself, right?
Absolutely. You know, you spoke about going into the silence and said that God will be there, and often saying that he's nearer than hands and feet. When you go into the silence, go there expecting, go there asking, go there with a request, and then get silent and watch how God reveals the answer. A lot of times I'm looking at a particular scripture and I'm seeking deeper revelation. I'll go into the silence and I'll just release it. Now, it may not always come immediately in my setting. It may come as I'm going about my business throughout the day or whatever. But because I've planted the seed and because I've become open to the answer is on its way.
Hey, we're told very plainly that all denial is self-denial. God's not denying you anything. God's not punishing you. That's so far from someone who is totally loving. You understand? He started this totally loving all of us. And he's telling you, you turn to me, I'll turn to you. So if God will turn to you, what would possibly be a problem? I mean, what would be a problem if God turns to you? And he said, you turn to me, I'll turn to you. That sounds pretty simple to me, doesn't it to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, just understand, we're not talking a physical turning of body, but we're talking about a turning of mind, turning to him in consciousness and just being open to the Father within you.
You know, that's it. You have to be open.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be ready to receive it.
Yeah.
You have to be expectant to receive it. And if you're not expecting to receive it, change your mind again and again. Someone says, what if I choose wrong? Well, then you just choose again.
Yeah.
I mean, he tells you this day, and this, if you didn't get it right today, it's this day again.
Yeah.
So get it right. And that's all you have to do. You just have to want to get it right. And you're told to work out your own salvation. And all you have to do to work out your own salvation is just separate the positive from the negative in your own conversations and follow the positive. Simple, isn't it?
It is simple. You know, the question is, a lot of times people ask, what if I choose wrong? That's the ploy not to do anything and give yourself an excuse to do what only you can do and must do for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I expected it all to be hard. And I really wanted it to be, because then I had an excuse not to do it.
Yeah.
And you see that's what happens. Once you start this, you're going to start being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
See, and it isn't going to be pleasant at times, being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And I found that very true in my case, for sure. But the point is that you can do this. You see, you're told that you receive not because you ask not. And people say, well, but what do you mean I'm not asking? I'm there praying over and over and over. But you don't need to do that. You tell God once, that's all there is to it. He knows right then. He knows what you have need of even before you ask. Jesus told you that God he knows what you have need of. He is you. He's with you. I suffer with you, but you behold me not. Come on. I'm right here with you. You want to turn to me? Turn to me. Just all you have to do is just feel we're together, and we are. Jesus told you, I of myself can do nothing. Now, this is Jesus telling you that I of myself can do nothing. It is the Father within. He doeth all the work. So you're not giving work to do. You're giving consciousness, and consciousness is always being objectified. So whatever you're thinking feelingly about, that's what you're setting yourself up for. And rather it's positive or negative, it says whatsoever, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You said something. You said that Jesus said that it's the Father within that does all the work. And let me add this. He does the work as you. Whoever the individual is, God is living, being, doing as you. But Jesus understood that he could not do without spirit or life force within him. So God says if he didn't do it, it wasn't done.
That right there tells you the story.
Yeah.
You know, he's telling you right there, I'm right here with you.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
See, that's a question I couldn't answer. What was I waiting for? I didn't know, but then I found out. I had the revelation. They were always right there. And I'll tell you, and once you have a revelation, you realize in retrospect, they were always there.
Yeah.
The message was always there. You hear it in so many different ways. Scattered.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We're scattered. We have to bring ourselves together. What do you think?
It's true. You know, as you were stating about the message always being there, and when the message is there, we hear the message, but we say, well, who am I to have received that message? So it can't be valid. That can't be God, because it sounds so naturally like me. It sounds like something I would say, but it's beyond what we will say. You know, and sometimes I'll think something or receive this revelation, and I'm asking myself, now I know where it came from, but I ask myself because I'm amazed, where did that come from? Because I know it didn't come from mass mind reason. You know what I mean?
Well, given to choose this day, and you're doing so, are you aware of what you're choosing? If you're aware of what you're choosing, you know where you're going, you know what you'll be doing, you'll know how it'll turn out, and that's what you're given to do. You're given to know. If you will seek, you will find. To know what you're doing in mind will be being done on the without. As within, so without. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, so does he, so has he, on and on throughout the scriptures. So you're in charge even if you're out of control. And that's the danger. It's being in control and being out of control at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we are.
Yeah.
We're either in control or we're out of control. And you know you're out of control if you're not enjoying life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have the experience of knowing, but does it sink in?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you asked the question in the knowing, you know, and the question is, you know, you said Jesus asked the person, do you believe? And many people believe that they believe. They believe in the ideal or the concept of belief, but they haven't taken ownership for the new ideal. It hasn't become theirs. You know, when you begin to ask, you become the acts. Whatever the acts is, whatever the prayer is, you become the prayer. It's no longer, oh, you know, I'm hoping that this is going to happen. You begin to operate knowing that your request is answered. Now, just because it's not manifested in what we call the 3D virtual reality doesn't mean that it's not taking place. And Daniel was told the moment you begun to pray, the moment that you took on that new ideal, an angel was being dispatched, a messenger was being dispatched to you. So messengers are always being dispatched to us, The problem is we cancel out the new belief and then we replace it back with the old belief. And we cancel out that belief.
That's the reason why you're told, be still. Not just be quiet. You're told to be still and know that I'm God. It's in the stillness is where you receive everything. Because that's the reason why God told you to go in the closet, close the door, and when you're alone, speak to your Father which is in heaven. And if you can speak to your Father which is in heaven when you're alone, then Jesus was telling you, I and my Father are one, even as you and I are one. Yeah. So you got it all right with you, right here, right now, but you seem to fail in taking advantage of it. Yeah. It's already yours, but you have to claim it. You see, God did not want to force anything. God doesn't need to force anything. He is everything. You see, but he has given you. Decide, choose. It's not telling you what you should think. We're telling you that what you do think is what you're going to experience.
I want to add to what you just said because it's so true. Even in a Neville Goddard community, you know, there's so many things that Neville taught us. And a lot of times people in the communities, you know, we want to make Neville the new religion and we want to say, well, you got to do it this way. Each person's journey is different. And each person, the one thing that we want to emphasize is your thinking. Now, according to what it is that you're thinking, these are the things that you could possibly manifest. But at no time are we going to tell you what to think because that's not our business. That's your business and the creator within.
Yeah. Look, there is, you can, whatsoever. Yeah. And you're given to do so, to be so, to have so, but you have to claim it. You have to show up because that's what you're doing when you're praying, and you're praying ceaselessly. So you're claiming something all the time. But how aware are you of what you're claiming until it actually happens? And then you have the problem of why me, why this, why now? Because as you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. I know I repeat this again and again, but I also know that I had to hear it many, many times before I knew about it, you know, and I'd say, oh, well, I know that, but I didn't know that. I only knew about it. Yeah. And knowing about it, it's not enough. You have to know from it, and you have to be in it, thinking from it to actually have the revelation that it's here it is. Accept it. Expect it. That's what you have to expect it. That's what you're looking for. When you're sitting in a, you're looking for your expectancy. What are you expecting? Because that's what you're going to get, isn't it?
It is. And I love that you started off with, there is, you can, whatsoever. And I want the listener to grasp what's been given in the whatsoever. The whatsoever is whatever it is that you can imagine. There is no limit to whatsoever. So that's why somebody that can go from homeless to a billionaire in a matter of years, because he or she was operating out of the whatsoever. That's why a person with polio who was told that they would never walk ends up winning an Olympic medal for track and field. I can go on with story after story after story, but the whatsoever, there is no limit, there is no constraint to what you can give your attention to. Only you can put the limit or the constraint on whatsoever.
That's right. You hear about limitations all the time. And you hear about them over and over and over, and you begin to believe them. Yeah. And you don't have any limitations because you were given whatsoever to choose from as a potential. So what are you limited to? See, the only thing you're limited to is what you do in mind, in imagination, in the theater of mind. That's what you're doing, being, having all the time. So you are a maker of yourself, and that's what God said, they themselves are makers of themselves. It's not anybody else's fault. You can't blame anybody else because nothing happens until it's thought. It has to have a thought with it, by it. It. Do it, and you shall have the power. That's what you're told. So if you're doing that, you are having the power, even if it's a negative. And I've had people tell me about things that happened 35 years ago, and they're still running off scenarios about it every day. Why? If you didn't like it the first time, why you think you're going to like it now? I mean, come on. You run off these scenarios, and all you're doing is just adding and adding and adding. You're just pushing it forward because your thoughts are not falling into the past. Understand that. It is not falling in. They're being projected in our future as future situations, and you're going to face it. So don't set yourself up, because that's what you're doing. When you're thinking feelingly negatively, you're setting yourself up for a problem. When you're thinking feelingly about what is lovely and of good report, then you're setting yourself up for good life. That's what you should be doing, right?
Absolutely. You said, listen, if you're not conscious of what it is that you're thinking and you're thinking on the negative, you're going to face it. And I would like to say this, you're going to face it until you erase it. So if you don't erase it, if you don't replace that negative thought and say, delete, I'm not even holding on to that, where did that come from? And discount it as dead, as it were. But you have to replace that old erroneous thought with a new thought. Otherwise, it is projected into your future. And you said nothing happens without a thought.
Yes.
I hope that the listener gets that. That's just so powerful. And I'll repeat it again. Nothing happens without a thought. Now, many of you say, well, I didn't think that. But you've given place, you've given your energy. Sometimes the thought is a vibration or a feeling or an emotion that isn't contemplated per se as you saying, I sure hate that person, for example, but you may just have a feeling about disliking that person. That's the thought.
Yeah. And thoughts are things.
Yes.
And look at them. They're all around you.
Absolutely.
Things. But all of it, even the body you're wearing, all of it goes away.
Yeah.
But you're the only thing that doesn't go away because there's nothing transforming in death. So whatever you're thinking and feeling right now, before you go, that's what'll be your life starting off. There's nothing transforming in death. So how you think and feel now will be exactly how you'll think and feel again. And you have to change it yourself because you were given the power, not a power, not a little power. You were given the power to choose this day. And if you do it frivolously, well, you experience it frivolously, right?
Absolutely. And listen, when we say that when you think a thought, that thought's going to be manifested, don't be naive to believe that because it didn't manifest the very next moment, that it's not taking place. Sometimes seeds are sown and those seeds take months, years, decades, but they will give harvest.
Every vision has its appointed hour.
Yeah.
You see, that's what you want to understand. When you have a vision that's a negative, it has its appointed hour right now set up. Now you can change it.
Yes.
You could stop it.
Yeah.
But you have to know about it to do so. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to give you is the knowledge that you can do so. That's all we're trying to convince you of is that you can do so. Then you have to convince yourself that you can do so. Our convincing you, that's up in the air. but you have to convince yourself. We're just giving you the material to change your mind, change your world. It's up to you to do so, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why we do what we do week after week, because we want to make sure that you have the tools. We know that many people are experiencing life change because they're communicating those changes. But it takes you doing your part. It's not enough to listen to these messages week after week. I've been a listener, and I've listened for decades of my life and seen reverse results because, of course, I wasn't practicing the action. But once I took accountability and I started being the actor on the stage and not a participant in the audience, my life began to change.
You were given life.
Yeah.
But it's your responsibility to use it wisely.
Yeah.
Because you have charge, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your former life, you were a contractor, so you understand how buildings are put up and how thoughts are built, because thoughts are the buildings that are being put up. And you said, look around your room, everything around us. You know, I see microphones, I see lamps, I see various other items, I see smartphones, I see headsets. All of these things started off as, first of all, impossible from its origin. Somebody said, no, you can't do that. It's impossible. You don't have the money, the resources, whatever the impossible dream that the person gave them. But they saw that thing through, first and foremost, in their imagination. Then it was outpictured in what we call so-called reality. But it goes back to what you said. Nothing happens without thought.
That's right. Consciousness is always being objectified. What are you conscious of? That's all you have to ask yourself. What are you conscious of? Because that's going to be your world of experiencing. And even, like I said, there's nothing transforming in death. But that's true however many times you die. You have to change or it doesn't change. You change your mind, you change your world. You don't change your mind, you'll do it over and over and over, because God's not going to tap you on the shoulder and tell you, well, it'd be better if you do it this way. He gave you the instructions right off. You have to read them. You have to know it. I mean, it's there. If you don't get caught up in the stories and you'll get the essence of the message, you'll just sail right through. You say?
Absolutely. And somebody said it recently in the Facebook group, change isn't change until it's changed. What would you say to the listener about a movement in mind? Since everything's a movement in mind and you can see what it is in your mind. We talked about, our whole conversation has been about mindset and change. What would you say to the listener in closing?
Well, if you create a mindset, it operates independently of you, and it won't even inform you when it's going to operate, because you set it in motion and you have not stopped the motion, so it's ongoing. And that's what it is with your whole life. It's as you think you are, not how you came to think that way, not why you think that way, but as you think you are. And all we're telling you is that just watch what you're thinking, because that's what you're going to experience, because you're always thinking ahead of your evidence.
Like always, it's always a pleasure. So yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a pleasure to help people find themselves, because that's who they're looking for.
Absolutely.
No matter what they're looking at, that's what they're looking for themselves. And that's what you need to do, but not egotistically.
Yeah.
Us and our little private jokes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, sir, we'll talk soon. It's been a pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon.
Right on. Attitude, attitude, attitude. That's all you have to concern yourself with. What is your attitude about whatever? Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
This is the limit of contraction. Neville told us that. This is the limit right here.
Absolutely.
You can't fall any further than here. Thank God. Okay, guy. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, But for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. MetaphysicalArtTheater.com.